No, it's not a vote.
It's not a vote.
No.
Okay.
We're just going to try.
Okay, and if I could just say something on the public comments, as long as you're talking about public comments, before public comments start. You know, this town, there's a lot going on in this town, and I appreciate that you surveyed other towns, but we are in a different situation. And, you know, we have been asking for more than 15 minutes. And what that does is it puts tremendous pressure on the whole community when everybody only has 15 minutes to speak and other people want to speak. So I'm asking you, if you're going to put it wherever you put it, to extend the public comments. I would like to commend Bob McCarthy for doing something at the recent police audit meeting, and he at least went to 20 minutes and allowed people to speak freely. I'm asking you to take the chains off us. Don't put that silly timer on, and let's talk and let people talk as people, the way they normally would talk without having to read. So I'm asking you to reach into your heart and have a little compassion for the community and give us at least 25 minutes for public comments, and don't time us and let us speak. When Bob McCarthy did that, we were able to collaborate and work together. When our hands are tied and we have a silly timer on, it causes unnecessary stress to the community. So that's all I would like to say.
Is Ms. Lombardi, where you asked to not have the timer attached to this, I certainly understand the pressure that can put on a speaker. As we've mentioned before, we have many other avenues for residents to reach out to us. We have the open office hours that are unlimited. People can talk. The problem is if the public comment is civil and you know, not screaming, but if there are members of the audience that are just screaming at, you know, members of the select board over and over, there has to be a limit to that. We can't just allow that for 20 minutes.
Right. And I would like to say that that time limit and the fact that we don't really think you're listening to us because some of you take off your mic and then it's like, okay, 3 minutes up, ding, next person. That contributes to the anxiety that's in this room. So if you can help us lower the anxiety, we can help
Sure.
by not responding accordingly.
Sure. All right, so let's see how it goes tonight. All right.
Okay,
So hold on.
Wait a minute.
go ahead, sorry.
So I thought we would figure out, I think now based on the fact that's going to be longer, maybe it is at the end of the meeting and we do the 20 minutes,
So yeah,
25.
yeah,
Well, we don't want to 25. I mean, I don't care, like 20, 25 at this point, we're here all night, whatever, like
let's
it's fine.
attempt a 20-minute.
All right, okay.
All right, so did you have a comment about what we've already discussed, or are you about to go into public comment?
I'm about to go into public comment, but I just have one question before. Do you guys have anything planned on the agenda about talking about the reappointment of the police chief within the next month or so? Her contract is up on June 30th. Is that something that you guys are going to discuss in an executive session, or will the community have some chance to voice their concerns on the reappointment of Chief Rafferty?
So typically that is done, contract negotiations are done in executive session, and then when a contract is finalized, it's done so in a public meeting. If the public has input, they could certainly email the select board with that input, but it would not be something that we would open to the public for contract negotiations.
Not contract negotiations, about concerns or something on an agenda item on her reappointment. There would be no input from the community.
So the select board hasn't decided, we haven't yet engaged in those conversations. We're waiting to get through town meeting. So I suspect that the select board will start to have those conversations.
So those conversations will happen in an executive session, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
So there'll be, even if I made a motion for an agenda item, it would not be allowed?
Correct. Contract negotiations are done in executive
We're all
session.
done in executive session, whether it be the unions, the
chief,
It-
or whoever.
That's a loophole to cover like salary negotiations, not public safety negotiations where we don't feel our current chief is in our best interest. That's completely different than what you're covering under your loopholes. So let's make sure that we're not trying to like pull the fleece over everyone's eyes.
Okay.
All
But you
right.
can certainly
Yeah.
comment about how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that should be
yeah.
a public comment
Yeah.
Right.
and a public agenda item before you go into private negotiations for a raise and a new car and what her vacation time would potentially be. Two different things.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say one more thing on that topic, okay? I don't think you guys need the community to tell you what we all see. Anyone watching this trial can see the performance of the police department, can see the performance of the high-ranking police officers who have deviated from policies and procedures. And I'm just going to say this.
And Ms. Lombardi, we can't comment on the case.
I'm not asking you to comment on the
So-
case. What I'm saying is people can send emails to you to express their concern about the leadership that our police department has had. And unfortunately for our town, the whole world can see the performance of our police department. So I'm hoping that you can take what everyone else can see and include that in your decision making. If the board comes back and renegotiates the contract and continues with the chief, then you will see probably public outcry based on the performance that has been under oath in testimony. So it's not my opinion or anybody else's opinion. It's anyone listening to the trial is witnessing that. So I just hope, and we all hope, that you guys take into consideration what everyone else is seeing. And that's what we're asking.
Brenda Sweeney.
Right.
I
So,
just-
hold on a second, because
Yeah, we got to get on track
we
here.
haven't officially started our public comment, even though we've started our public
It's about
comment.
the police chief. You have to give her 30 days notice if you're not going to renew her contract, and that's 2 days away. So you're telling us you haven't made a decision yet?
By contract.
Brenda Sweeney.
Right.
I
So,
just-
hold on a second, because
Yeah, we got to get on track here.
we haven't officially started our public comment, even though we've started our public
It's about
comment.
the police chief. You have to give her 30 days notice if you're not going to renew her contract, and that's 2 days away. So you're telling us you haven't made a decision yet?
By contract, you have to give her 30 days.
Otherwise, you
notice.
give her a golden
Tick, tick,
parachute.
tick, tick.
So if you're gonna give her a golden parachute, we're gonna close up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your audience is educated. Treat us as such.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
O'Donnell.
you.
All right,
Okay, Mike, is public comment now?
here we go.
Right, with that being said, I'd like to take a few minutes just to convey my thoughts and a lot of the thoughts of this community that a lot of people are sitting at home watching this on TV, and they don't show up to the select board meetings for fear of speaking out against the police department. And I would just like to state that Helena Rafferty was the acting chief on January 29th of 2022. She never showed up on the scene at 34 Fairview or at the Canton Police Department that day, and I ask why. Lieutenant Kelleher oversaw the detective unit of the Canton Police Department. He also lives across the street from 34 Fairview. He never showed up on the scene or even came out of his house. Can you imagine this? Officer Lank and Chief Berkowitz were not even scheduled to work that day, but yet they inserted themselves into this investigation. By the way, Chief Berkowitz was on medical leave on January 29th, 2022. So who was calling the shots that day? A Boston police officer was dead on the lawn of another Boston police officer's house. And we learned from testimony that one of the officers stated that there was no probable cause to search 34 Fairview. There was a missing shoe, a missing hat, no jacket on the victim. If that was any one of our homes, the circumstances would have been different. Through testimony, we learned that there is a malignancy in our police department. There is a lack of professionalism, a lack of following proper policies and procedures, a lack of judgment, a lack of taking clear and concise police reports, a lack of the importance of interviewing and separating witnesses, and a very obvious lack of memory in preserving a crime scene, a lack of evidence collection. When going off topic about flock cameras at the August 8th, 2023 Select Board meeting, Helena Rafferty made statements that will be preserved forever, as she stated, in quote, "I will always be able to look at the O'Keefe family and tell them there is no evidence of a cover-up." This is not faring well in week 5 of this trial. Helena Rafferty inherited a very flawed and humiliating set of circumstances. But the chief has had ample opportunity to express to this community that she was doing everything in her role as a leader to be transparent, to assure the residents of Canton that this tragedy was being processed with the proficiency it deserved. This is what leaders do. The chief has never once made a public statement to this community. The chief never addressed the public outcry over shoddy police work. She agreed to meet one-on-one with residents. We asked the select board to have you arrange a public meeting with her to hear our concerns, and you declined. The select board also failed to hold her accountable. We asked the town to hire a crisis manager. Nothing was done. This is not leadership. I asked this select board, while meeting in executive session over the next few weeks, over the contract of offering current police chief Helena Rafferty a new 3-year contract. Ask yourself, does she possess the skills, the leadership, the fortitude to deal with the consequences of this investigation? Like the old saying goes, don't throw the baby out because the bathwater is dirty. The bathwater is dirty and the current chief is the baby. It's time for change. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. O'Donnell?
Jennifer O'Donnell, parody of public figures ruled constitutional. In 1988, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled parody of public figures constitutional. In Hustler magazine, verse Falwell in the U.S. Supreme Court applies the actual malice standards, saying the First Amendment protects the right to parody public figures, even if the parodies are outrageous or inflict severe emotional distress. Last November, a man in our community made gun gestures with his hands at me in a crowded auditorium, just feet from our chief of police and rows away from our select board. I have a history with this individual, and his actions broke federal law. I asked for the video and have still, to this day, not been allowed to view it or have a copy. The chief's words, I watched it. It was a joke amongst friends. I did not ask her for what her perception was. I know how I felt shaking a room full of cops with not an action taken, even after I made the whole room aware of the moment. I was told you need 3 situations and then you go to Stoughton District Court to get yourself a restraining order. Then you call 911. Now our cops can do their job. It has come to my attention, an individual has also, to all accounts, been joking around with Chris Albert, who is by all accounts, much to my disdain, a public official. This individual has been served not 1, but 2 warrants to search his motor vehicle for the same information, only a week apart. So either they didn't get what they needed the first time, once again inept at their jobs, or this is harassment of a citizen, a fishing expedition at the call of Chris Albert. Neither warrant this reaction. You're looking at littering and distribution of propaganda. Both are mere fines. This was done at a citizen's business in front of their clients. Chris Albert is once again weaponizing the Canton Police Department for his own gain and to terrorize citizens who stand against him. Chris Albert, the proper procedure is 3 events. Then you go to Stoughton District Court, hope that you get a restraining order, call 911. Why are the rules so wildly different for you? Are you going after this individual for witness intimidation? Will I be next? Public service announcement and notice to all of our police in our town. After the attitude I received from Officer Healy the other morning when he ticketed me, I no longer feel safe being pulled over one-on-one in the town of Canton. Please let it be known that I will meet you outside of the police station. I will not risk being pulled over again by one of the good old boys. Officer Healy, your message was received. After speaking to multiple cops from surrounding towns and multiple Mass State police officers, they all agreed you were indeed just being a dick. Have a good night.
Yes, well said. Thank you for your bravery. Listen, Rita Lombardi, I live in Canton, obviously, and you know, I came here tonight, I was going to speak about the chief, and that was already spoken about. And when you, Mr. Lofgren, opened up with what you opened up with, and you said that the police, you know, we will not tolerate police being targeted. That's like, you know, the police are not being targeted. And that statement was included. Everything you said is pretty much standard language, but when you add that the police, we're not going to tolerate police being targeted, there's no incident of police being targeted. And when a statement like that is made, it causes confusion in an already confused and terrorized community. And so, you know, the police and employees everywhere, employees apply for their job. They say, I want to work there. The people in the police department said, I want to work there. When they said, I want to work there, and they were given a contract, the contract is for them to follow policies and procedures and to demonstrate professional behavior. And when they don't, there's consequences. And what we have seen in this community and what we have seen through the testimony is that we have great policies and procedures like we've heard. The problem we have in this community is we have selective adherence to those policies and procedures. And selective adherence is widespread. That has become clear in all the testimony. So if people start to say and criticize our police force, it's warranted. The testimony is coming right out of their mouths. They were paid to do a job. And the people that need protection are not the police with the guns. It's us in the community. I too do not feel safe in this town that I have lived in for 45 years. If something happens to me, I think that they'll just let me burn to the ground. I don't feel safe. None of us feel safe. The only ones who feel safe are the ones that are connected to those that have the power in this town. And we need to stop that. We need to come back together as a community. We need new leadership. The people that testified were high-ranking officials in the police department. It frightens me to think that their subordinates are looking at that behavior. I've been in leadership. You guys know that. You know, when employees go rogue and they're allowed to go rogue, the whole area, the whole department gets demoralized, and you lose the good people and the bad people stay. And the good people say, why should I do my job? Because look what they get. They don't do their job. And guess what? The town gets sued, $300,000. The agreement says the person's never going to get promoted, and the person has been promoted multiple times. You know, so there's no consequences. We need protection. We are not feeling protected from this police department. We are not. And so we are asking for new leadership. And we do not want that contract renewed. And you will make the decision that you feel best, but we do not feel safe. And that is not feeling good to us. So I ask you, I appreciate you letting us speak. I appreciate not having the timer. You know, we want to collaborate, we want to work together, and we need a good foundation. We don't have it right now. So please help us restore this town to what the beautiful town that it is. Let's get the leadership in place that we need, and let's move forward. That's all I'm have to say.
Thank you, Rita. Eric.
Eric Kramer, in Redmond. I'm here to talk about roads. Just to take it off topic.
Yeah.
John, you
Finally.
said something in the town meeting that kind of bothered me. You said that Saddleback roads and so forth were getting plowed by the town. There's a gentleman who got up and spoke that said he lives at Canton Point and they pay to have the roads plowed. That's a problem, I think. We live in a society that we're supposed to take care of everybody in the town. We have these 80+ roads. Who knows what's going on with them? I live on a road that has a massive water problem in front of my yard. The telephone pole has been hit a couple times. Nothing's been done. I've been here almost 20 years. That's been there from day one. I got an email from town officials saying, it's the new houses. There's no new houses. I wish there was. That'd be a good blame for it. We're not looking at the bigger issues of our town. We have these issues here that I'm not going to go into because that's not what I'm here for tonight. The roads in the town are falling apart. There's lots of people complaining. If you look on Facebook, I started a post about where I live on Indian Lane saying this is a problem. If you read down that post, everybody started adding roads. Why do we pave Main Street, Washington Avenue, Washington Street, when we have all these other roads? That road was a hell of a lot better than my road. I don't understand. Do we have a process? Because when I talked to Public Works, they told me to call you guys. When I talked to the town hall, they said, call Public Works. I'm confused. Who do I call? I'm sorry, guys. You're not doing the job here. These are issues that everybody has to drive these roads. Everybody sees the roads are falling apart. We're not fixing the roads. You need to come up with a master plan. What you're doing right now, this piecemeal, not understanding, surveying all the roads. I know Public Works is going around and saying we need to fix these roads. And they're presenting some list to you guys saying these are the ones we're going to do or what we're not going to do. We took $1 million to finance the road repairs. We're going to do this year. That's not going to cut it. I agree with you, John. Everybody should have the roads. We shouldn't have all these private ways. We should fix it. We have to come up with a plan, fix it so everybody's treated the same. You're right. Everybody's paying taxes. Their money's coming into the town. But they're second-class citizens.
Mhm.
Or some are better because they get their streets plowed even though we're not supposed to. I'm just asking for fairness. I want the roads fixed. I want people, be able to drive the roads without getting their wheels out of alignment. That's what I'm asking for. And you need to come up with some type of, I hate to say a committee to figure out what's going on, but whatever you're doing is not working. All right? That's what I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Mr. Chair, just as a reminder, Bill Walsh was here at our last meeting,
Yeah.
and he went over the plan for the paving plan and what streets are scheduled for exactly what months.
Right.
So I would encourage you to reach out to Bill.
I apologize. I've looked at the plan. It's not encompassing the whole town.
No, because
Again, that's the problem. You need to count.
you need the funds to do that, though. So, all the Chapter 90 money plus the money that the town puts aside goes into the paving plan budget. So you can only knock off so many roads per year.
But you go right up to like you do Messenger, Walnut, and Rockland and leave the Knoll unpaved for the past 10 years. That's where everyone walks their dog. Every kid learns to ride their bike, and you go in and you trim the bushes here and there on the little island and call it your good deed for the neighborhood. Like that's the staple of the neighborhood right there. That in the park. So, you're not treating the whole town the same. So you're looking to take on more work, more neighborhoods, because they're $4 million homes.
Mm-mm.
How about you take care of what you already told us you would take care of?
Thank you.
Cool.